Hi everyone. So this is our third day of the second launch week of Daytona. We have many things that we are shipping, and Toma, the main shipper in Daytona, is basically here. Is here with us, and he will present the new Azure DevOps integration within Daytona. So Toma, please do the honors.
Yeah, of course. First of all, it's not Azure DevOps integration. We already had that. It's Azure integration through our Azure provider. As you know, Daytona has many providers to offer, which basically allow you to spawn up workspaces in remote environments, be it some cloud providers or hosting providers or anything like that. But to get started, we can just run Daytona provider install. And then from the list, we can choose the provider we want to install. In this case, it's of course Azure. So we install Azure. It's now being downloaded and installed on the server. Once it's actually installed, the CLI asks us, do we want to add a target or no? So let's add a target in this case. I'll just name it Azure for simplicity's sake. So now you can see the options that this target has, and let's say the main options here are some authentication options that are your client ID, secret, and there will be one more in the end. All these, let's say, secretive options have, you can leave them blank, and then they will be fetched from an environment variable, which I have set, so I can just move on. The same thing with the client secret. Then we choose the disk size. I'll leave it at default, which is 30 gigabytes. We have the disk type, which you can check out with the Azure CLI. You can check out which disk types are available. The image URN, again, I'll just leave it at default for this case, and then the region here. Since our Azure account is in West Europe, we can choose West Europe. And as you can see here, I'm not sure if you see, but we have autocomplete for these inputs as well. So if I do West Europe, you can see that I can just complete it when I click Control E, and it will complete the input. This is just a UX feature to make it easier to input these options that are sort of a select, but not really. So then we have the resource group. I'll just leave it at default because Daytona will then check if you have a Daytona resource group or create the Daytona resource group if you leave this empty. But if you have a specific resource group you want to create workspaces in, you can input that as well. The subscription ID, that's also set through an environment variable, so I'll just leave that empty. Tenant ID, the same thing. And then we have the VM size, which I'll leave at the default value. So that's it. We have set the target, which we can check out with Daytona target ls. And as you can see here, we have the target. We have the Azure target. What's left to do now is Daytona create. I'll just do my README repo as a sample, and I'll choose the target Azure right here. I can do it through the TUI as well, but this is just for simplicity's sake. I'll just do it via the CLI flag. Okay, so now Daytona started the workspace creation process. Because this is actually creating a full VM on Azure, this is expected to take a bit more time than just creating a local workspace. But you'll see all the steps laid out here. So the first step was to create an Azure virtual network and then a subnet. And lastly, a network interface. These three steps basically ensure that Daytona's networking is set up correctly and that you can actually access the VM at a later point. Then lastly, what we need to do is to actually create the Azure virtual machine. The machine is now created, and now the machine is starting to initialize. And the last part of that initialization process is the actual installation of the Daytona agent, which will boot up inside the VM and allow Daytona to connect to the Azure VM. This process can take a bit of time, maybe a few minutes. And then after the actual agent was downloaded, started, and connected to the Daytona server, Daytona will then actually create your project inside. You'll see all the logs that happen in between. But this is, let's say, the longest part of the process where the
So
actual VM
basically,
is being initialized.
yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, it takes what it takes, but effectively, it's faster because you don't need to go into the interface and
Yep.
do it yourself. So
Yes, exactly. So it's definitely faster because I don't think any of the cloud providers have such a of the big ones have such a simple UX and UI. So whenever you can spin up VMs really quickly via CLI command, I think that's a definite win and a boost, a productivity boost, definitely.
so you're now, yeah,
Go ahead.
please. So
We're just waiting for the process because we don't have the logs. It can seem that this is stuck or something, but trust me, it's not. It will take probably like 3 minutes, I think, and then the project creation process will start as well. Okay, that's it. So as you can see, the agent has started. This means that it was downloaded inside the VM, and now the creation of the actual project started. As with all Daytona projects, the first part is to actually pull the image that will get the project up and running. So this again, this takes what it takes, depending on how fast the internet inside the VM is. But it will take probably just a few more seconds. And once the image is pulled, Daytona basically does the exact same flow as it would locally. So that's clone the repo inside the VM and then create the actual image. And then lastly, it will allow you to connect to the project via SSH or automatically opening up the ID, which you'll see in the end.
but this part is also a little bit faster than when you're doing it locally, because usually you have better networking.
Exactly, yeah. So it's expected that the VM network will be, let's say, a bit faster and more stable than your home internet. So this probably will be faster than you would do it locally. And of course, if you have, for example, if you created a multi-project workspace, in this case, it wouldn't pull the image every time. It would actually cache it, so it would be actually faster for subsequent projects as well. So just a few more steps here, and the repo should start cloning. Did you want to say something else? Sorry.
No, but once you have done this create process, basically you have a workspace running and you can connect to it with Daytona code whenever.
Yeah, exactly. You can keep it running for as long as you want. You can then just do Daytona code and connect to it from any machine that you have Daytona access to.
So the beauty is having this optionality, or like you have this hybrid approach where you can run Daytona workspaces wherever you want, and then you pick and choose what's the best option for your concrete project.
Exactly. Yeah, that's let's say the most appealing thing about these providers is that, I don't know, someone uses Azure, someone uses AWS, someone uses GCP, and choosing your provider is just your personal choice, and you can then basically deploy the workspace wherever you want. So
For example,
yeah,
I was sorry to interrupt, but I was working on MacBook with a limited amount of memory and I was running like memory intensive data science project that basically had to have everything brought in memory, and the only solution I could think of was running the remote workspace.
Exactly. I think that's the best use case for people who don't have some huge machines for running these large workflows. Definitely offloading all that work to a hosted environment somewhere in the cloud is a definite win, because the environment can be as big as you want, and it isn't really. It's basically just constrained by your budget. So
And you don't need to run it all the time. You're not running it 100%.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
you
You
run
can
it
just do
just when you
Daytona
need it.
stop. Yeah, exactly. You can do Daytona stop. Daytona will actually stop the VM, and it won't get billed in the process if it's stopped. So Daytona actually allows you to manage that as well automatically. So it's, again, is a win for productivity and for flexibility in that sense.
Okay, this
So
should be done soon.
yeah, I think this is the last step in the extraction process. We actually have some ideas on how to speed this process up even more. That will come hopefully soon, maybe in the next launch week. We'll see about that. So, okay, as you can see, the actual image was pulled. It was cloning in. We are actually cloning the project. We are doing some, let's say, maintenance work to get this all sorted. And now the actual project will create. Okay, the project was created. We are now starting it and starting the workspace. The workspace start in this case doesn't do much because the VM is actually already started. But if you started the workspace from a stopped state, it would actually start the entire VM. And now this is a similar output as you would see when you run Daytona create in a local environment. It's basically just starting up some entry points, downloading Daytona, starting the agent, and that's basically it. So we started the SSH server, and now Daytona will attempt to make that connection into the project. Once the connection is successful, we actually can open VS Code, or Daytona does it automatically. And VS Code should open in just a second. Because let's say the VM is remote, the connection to the VM itself can vary depending on your internet connection, but it's relatively fast right now. And as you can see, it opened up VS Code, and then VS Code takes care of its part, where it's actually installing the code server and connecting you to the workspace. I'll trust the authors because I'm the author, and that's it. As you can see, we just started up VS Code in an Azure VM, and I can just code here, code just as I would locally. So that's let's say the magic part in all of this. And what you see in the background is also the extensions that this project has are automatically installed in VS Code as well, so you don't have to worry about that. All
So
that
these are
setup
the
is handled
extensions
by Daytona.
specified in our default image.
Yeah, exactly. So we have some, because we cover the default image covers a lot of these, let's say, most popular languages. We also cover the extensions for them as well. As you can see, I don't know, Python, Java, .NET, and all that. And that's also automatically installed in VS Code.
And if a developer wants to use their own dev container, they can specify whatever extensions and like things they need in their own.
Of course. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, I'll just cancel this for now, and that's it. That's basically starting up the Azure VM instance through Daytona with just one command, Daytona create, and that's it.
Okay, thank you, Toma. The optionality you have with Daytona is the most interesting part for me. So you can run your workspaces in any fashion you like. So Daytona provides a hybrid dev environment. You can run it locally, remote, using any of those providers mentioned. So thank you. This is it for the third day, and tomorrow we have some news regarding our enterprise offering. So stay tuned for that. See you tomorrow. Bye.